There is a place in the mountains of Hidalgo, Mexico, where indigenous people have gathered for warmth for thousands of years. A place where hot water flows from volcanic rock into pools of milky turquoise. And a place where 140 indigenous families, when offered government money and private investment, they simply said, no. It's 3 hours from where I'm standing in San Miguel de Allende. It's the same distance from Mexico City. And almost nobody outside of Mexico has heard of it. If you're the kind of person who moved to Mexico to escape the sanitized, algorithmic sameness of modern life, then this place will definitely fascinate you. Or terrify you. Likely both. There are no reservations here, no booking site, no credit cards, just a narrow road that drops 1,600 feet into a box canyon, hot water that happens to be the ideal temperature to relax, and a community that has spent decades keeping it affordable and accessible. A far cry from the all-inclusive resorts many know Mexico for. This is Tolantongo. My brother Justin and I do this trip maybe 3 or 4 times a year. We work at expatinsurance.com, helping people like you figure out health coverage when you move abroad. And when we get a weekend off, we tend to disappear into places like this, especially after a holiday-packed weekend like Day of the Dead. It's November, midweek, a Wednesday morning. This is ideal. We like to go Wednesday or Thursday and stay anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. Monday through Friday is ideal because there are no crowds. Friday is when the tour buses start showing up, and they don't stop until they abruptly depart on Sunday afternoon. We always rent a car. Tour buses exist. They'll take you from Querétaro or Mexico City. But driving those switchbacks in a tour bus sounds like unnecessary stress for what's supposed to be a decompression trip. Plus, you want the freedom to leave when you want to leave and stay as long as you want to stay. For us, the packing list is simple. You can find a copy of it in the description below. Most of it is available on site if you just want to bring your day pack. We brought a tent, a cooler, blankets, and extra blankets this trip because there's a cold snap in Mexico. Sleeping pads, a wagon, we picked this one up at Costco, a sheet grill, water shoes, towels, sunscreen, cash, and lots of it, water, snacks, and of course, meat.
8 beers, carne, everything else we can get at Tolantongo.
We always stop at a butcher in Hidalgo on the way. I'm not going to tell you it's the best meat I've ever had because that would be hyperbole, and hyperbole is cheap. But I will tell you that Mexican butchers take pride in their cuts in a way that's largely disappeared north of the border. The marbling, the trim, the smile on the butcher's face as he shares his passion with outsiders. This all matters. You'll cook it on site over an open fire. We just use wood. There are guys walking around selling bundles for exactly this reason. Charcoal grills are available too, if that's your preference. But there's something right about open flame, mesquite smoke, the smell of burning wood mixing with sulfur from the thermal water. Fresh meat, fire, cold tequila, and hot springs. This is not complicated.
If you don't hear back from us, it might be because the camera's dead. It might be because the meat got to us. But we will see.
From San Miguel, it's a good drive. The landscape shifts from colonial highlands to semi-desert. You watch the vegetation change, less cactus and more green. Now this is a critical point. Fill your tank before you turn off toward Tolantongo. There's a Pemex in Ixmiquilpan. Use it. The last 17 kilometers are mountain road, and the last thing you want is to run low on fuel trying to climb back out of that canyon. Leave early. We left San Miguel at 6 a.m. Not because the drive is difficult, it's not, but because you want to arrive before the crowds, and because you want to score the ideal camping spot. The road into the canyon used to be dirt. That was a real mission. Muddy and rainy season, dust clouds, and white knuckle turns. The families have since afforded a very well-paved road. It's still 15 hairpin switchbacks dropping 500 meters with the occasional guardrail, but the surface is smooth. If you're comfortable with mountain driving, it's easy now. If you're not, if steep grades make you nervous, the only advice I can give you is that Ambien doesn't require a prescription in Mexico, and the seats in the tour bus recline. Here's what you need to understand about Tolantongo. It's not one place. It's 3 separate areas, each with a different vibe, and most tourists have no idea. This is why we brought the wagon, you'll see. First, there's Las Positas, the little pools. This is found by taking a right instead of going straight into the general entrance. You'll find the famous terraced infinity pools you see in Instagram photos. 40 thermal pools cascading down the hillside. This is where the bulk of the crowds are. Water temperature runs 82 to 88 degrees because it's mixing with unheated water by the time it gets there. Then you've got the main resort, the river, the cave section down in the canyon. This is where La Gruta is, the main cave where the water emerges at 98 degrees. The tunnel, the thermal river running through the canyon floor at 93 to 95 degrees. Most people camp here. Most of the hotels are here. This is where you park if you're smart. We park at the main resort, unload the wagon, because across the river, over a suspension bridge, there's La Gloria. And that's where we're actually staying. La Gloria is owned by a different ejido, different families, separate management, a separate entrance fee, 120 pesos if you cross from the main resort, and 200 if you drive directly to La Gloria's entrance. Here's why the wagon matters. La Gloria has its own parking lot at the top of the mountain. If you park there, you're hiking down over 1,000 stairs with all your camping gear to get to the good spots by the river. This is why we stay at La Gloria. There's fewer people and more vegetation, natural pools tucked into the hillsides, and a canyon you can wade through waist deep that ends in a chamber deep enough to dive. Early in the morning, the steam rises off the water with nobody around. In the evening, the sound of waterfalls instead of someone's Bluetooth speaker. If the main resort is for families, kids, music, and chaos, La Gloria is for people who came here to actually disconnect. They have their own hotel, basic rooms, and the same no reservation policy, except with only half a dozen available rooms. They have their own restaurant, they have a zip line if that's your thing.
And Ronnie, I feel like you're just here for the zip line.
What?
They close at 8 p.m., which means at 8 p.m., if you're camping here, you have the entire place to yourself. Just you, the thermal water, and the canyon walls. There are restaurants throughout the entire property. At Las Positas, at the main resort, at La Gloria, quesadillas, tacos, tortas, a mojarra to die for, and cold micheladas. They're a little pricey by Mexican standards, maybe 80 to 120 pesos for a meal. Not Cancun resort prices, definitely not your Bay Area avocado toast prices, but higher than what you'd pay in town. You're in a canyon, everything gets carried in, so the markup makes sense. You can bring your own food. We bring the meat because we're not here to optimize. We're here to sit by a fire next to thermal water and not think about work, and only end up talking about work.
I don't know why he came here, but I came here to test out the michelada.
Cell service used to not exist here, a complete disconnect. The families have since afforded a cell tower. It's right there in the middle of the valley, so you'll have signal now. Which means you should still put your phone in airplane mode anyway.
Winter in Mexico.
To the secret bridge.
Because there's something clarifying about choosing to be unreachable, about being in a place where you could check your email, but you don't, where you could scroll, but you won't. You're just here, in hot water, with your thoughts. It's uncomfortable at first if you're not used to it, until it's not.
This is where it's extra hot. Pretty fucking terrifying back there. Well, that's the coolest if you hide back there with the campfire.
A moment for our sponsor. Since we're talking about being here, being disconnected, being 3 hours from a major city in a remote canyon, if you're living in Mexico permanently, you need proper health insurance. Not travel insurance, real coverage that works in Mexican hospitals. That's why expatinsurance.com sponsors this channel. Because slipping on wet travertine in a remote canyon is a lot less stressful when you know you're covered. Link in the description below. The thing about Tolantongo is it doesn't try to be anything other than what it is. Hot water, rocks, basic infrastructure, take it or leave it. Most places try too hard to be everything to everyone. This place just exists. You either meet it where it is or you don't. We usually stay 48 hours. That's enough time to fully disconnect, but not so long that you start getting restless. On the drive out up those 15 switchbacks, your body feels different, looser, quieter, like someone turned down the volume on everything. That feeling lasts about 3 days back in normal life. Then it fades. Then you start planning your next trip. So why isn't this place famous? Why isn't it Cancun or Tulum? There are several reasons. The access is genuinely difficult. The infrastructure is intentionally basic. You can't book online, you can't pay with cards, there's no good Wi-Fi to post real-time updates. The community has rejected every attempt to make this place easier for international tourists. But here's the deeper truth. The people who own this place don't want it to be Cancun. They watched what happened to the Mayan communities along the Riviera Maya. They watched corporate hotels displace local people. They watched beach access get privatized and indigenous culture get turned into dinner theater. That would not happen here. The result is a place that functions on Mexican terms, not Gringo terms, where you adapt to it and not the other way around, where the trade-off for stunning natural beauty is accepting discomfort, inconvenience, and a complete lack of Instagram-optimized infrastructure. I keep coming back because places like this are disappearing. Not disappearing physically, the ejido isn't going anywhere, but disappearing philosophically. The idea that a community can say no to outside money, can maintain autonomy, can succeed on their own terms, that's increasingly rare. Tolantongo is not a hidden gem, it's not a secret paradise, it's a functioning ejido cooperative that happens to have hot springs and has managed to avoid being colonized by global tourism capital. That's the real story. Tolantongo is 3 hours from San Miguel. It's the same distance from Mexico City. And about 40 years from being ruined. Go while it still is what it is. In part 2, we'll tell the real story of Tolantongo. That may take a while to be released. And in the meantime, subscribe for more insider information on your life abroad. And check out freedomabroad.io, your guide to living in Mexico with destination guides, day trip ideas, and real cost data from people who actually live here.
Floated above the green tree tops and it all walking on you, my